So welcome to another video from theplayersaid.com. My name's Alexander.
And I'm Grant.
And today is our March monthly debrief. Brought to you by our gracious sponsors, Noble Knight Games. But more on them later. So March was a heck of a month for Wargames.
March kind of came in like a lamb for us and went out like a lion. We had a slow ramp up to the month, played a couple of games, and then, man, we ended it with a big bang by going to St. Louis.
Yes.
3 days, Basement Con.
Basement Con. And Basement Con is the colloquial name for our gathering of friends that we do annually over in St. Louis and play some big games, big war games.
Big multiplayer games
bombastic
is what we
games.
kind of focus on.
And it's just, get as many people together and have a good time with them.
We always enjoy it because we play anywhere from 4 to 8 player games. And it's just, how often do you get to do that? We don't get to do that.
Yeah, we do a lot of 2-player, and frankly, usually we have to go out somewhere to like a thing to do all these big multiplayer games. So it was an absolute riot. Mm-hmm. I had a great time. So big thanks to everyone involved in that to start with.
Yes.
It was a monumental weekend.
Yeah.
Started on Thursday and ended on Sunday.
Yep.
So I remember I was very excited. Because frankly, this is like the first thing that we've done since
Gen Con.
Since Gen Con. But Gen Con we only went to one day.
Right.
And didn't do any gaming.
We did no gaming. We just went and spent our money and
shopping.
Walked around. Yeah.
Was this the first thing we did
since
last Basement Con?
Yep.
So...
Other than just playing with our father-in-law, brother-in-law, and a couple of other friends a couple of times.
Yeah. So it was really nice to get together with some people and play some big war games.
Yep.
And I remember slowest week of the year so far.
It was horrific. By Wednesday, I was ready to go.
Oh yeah.
I think had we been able to leave Wednesday night, I think I would have left Wednesday night. But we ended up leaving Thursday afternoon around 2 or something like that.
Like every minute was an hour.
Yes.
On Wednesday and Thursday, just trying to get ready to go. I'm like packed all my stuff. I'm like, I want to go.
I felt like a kid in a candy store, like waiting to get what I wanted. Yeah, it was very weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
I had misremembered how long it takes to drive there.
It's a 4-hour drive.
In my brain, I thought it was 6.
Oh, okay.
And so when you're like, it's only 4 hours, I was like, yes.
It's 4 hours
sooner than I thought.
4 hours and 15 minutes, but
yeah,
because it's on the west side of St. Louis.
It was great. The excitement was palpable. Had a great time. Mm-hmm. Now, one thing that we did do is on the way there, we stopped at Miniature Market.
That was a blast.
Which was so fun. We talked about doing it last time, and I said no because I was just so excited I wanted to get there.
Right, and then we were talking about doing it on the way back, but it was so far out of the way.
Well,
we were so exhausted.
They don't open till like 10 or 11,
right,
and we were leaving in the morning, and it was like, I'm not going to sit there for 2 hours waiting for them to open. So that was a huge mistake last year. I genuinely, like, once a week at least, would think about, we should have gone.
Sure,
I'm a moron. Why did we do that?
Well.
So we made a concerted effort to go, and... it was everything that I had hoped it would be.
It was just wall-to-wall games, miniatures, dice, role-playing games. It was insane.
Just everything.
Ding and dent, brand new off the... I mean, it was awesome.
Yes.
We spent a good hour and 15 minutes just walking around.
Yes. And they had,
it was a blast.
A lot of board games, a lot of miniatures games. But they had a lot of war games. Pretty good war games too. Some little GMT and a lot of Worthington had a good showing there.
And MMP. There were quite a few MMP games as well.
But it's always nice to see that. Mm-hmm. And the one thing that I was surprised about was how big the kind of ding and dent discount sale was.
Oh yeah.
Because I'm a person, frankly, I don't care about what the box looks like if I can get a good deal out of it.
Yeah.
And
I mean, don't get me wrong. I like a good quality, integrity, intact box.
If I've paid full price, I want my box to be fixed.
But if it's a little dinged and dented and I get it for
60% off,
I'm game for that.
Sure, let's do that. So that was great. I got a couple of games here that we picked up.
And I don't have my games that I bought. But mine weren't ding and dent.
No, I got the Judge Dredd starter set from Wargames. This box is a mess.
Trashed.
But it's a miniatures game. So it's like a rule book, some sprues, some miniatures, some dice, and cards. So it's never going to stay in the box anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, absolutely.
Well, and who doesn't love Judge Dredd?
Yeah, I especially do. Grew up reading the comics, love it. It's so great.
And I am the law.
I get to paint some cool miniatures, and we get to play around with that. And
I am all in for that.
Basically peanuts for it.
You're Judge Anderson. I'm going to be Judge Dredd.
Yeah, I think one of us has to play the punks though.
Oh, got it. Yeah, you're against each other. Yeah.
Maybe there's a co-op mode though. Who knows? I really haven't looked through it.
Yeah.
That was one that I got.
And that one was like 60 or 70% off, so you ended up paying like $30 for it?
Yeah, I think I paid like $30 for that.
Normally like a $90 game, and I think
I'm like, absolutely. It's like a no-brainer.
Yeah. I think I had to point that out to you, because I think you had missed it.
I had looked at it and thought, I'm like, I don't need another miniatures game.
Yeah, well, you don't need
And then you were like, have you seen the Judge Dredd? I'm like, yes.
Yeah, let's get it. Yeah.
The other one that was kind of a no-brainer, I've still got it on here, was a complete set of 303 Squadron from Ares Games. They're the distributor. It's Hobbity.
Hobbit.du, yeah.
But I don't know how. I've never heard of this game before.
Yeah, I've heard of it. Never played it, but have heard of it.
Somehow I'd missed it.
Yeah.
So this has like a big...
You're not well read.
No, I'm very, very poor. Yeah. I don't know why people pay attention to me, honestly.
Yeah, well, I don't know why they pay attention to us either.
But it's two big boards of like the southeast of England, and it's Battle of Britain. Mm-hmm. But you have little miniature Hawker Hurricanes and 109s and 110s and Heinkels and area move, I think. And you're moving around flying missions. There's a number of missions in the box. Yep. Cool little miniatures shooting each other down. You have pilots and you have little dials for speed and altitude and stuff. Looks really awesome.
Yeah.
And then we picked up... they're too far away. A couple of the expansions. There's a convoy expansion, so there's a U-boat and some merchant shipping and some like Ace 110s, I think. The
thing I didn't like about those expansions were they have Stukas on the front. And there's no Stukas in the box. I'm not sure why they would put a Stuka on the front.
Yeah.
That was tricksy.
And then there's Then there's the Spitfire Squadron box, which we got. So who doesn't like Spits?
And these are Hurricanes, right? Isn't it Hurricanes in here? So that you have Hurricanes and Spitfires. You have Heinkels. What else did you have?
There's the Heinkel, the bombs, and then there's Messerschmitt, BF-109s, and BF-110s.
Okay, but no Stukas and no... Okay.
Yeah, no Stukas, no Dorniers, no nothing like that. But I'm like, you know what? For the price, which was kind of peanuts, what you pay retail. It was
you ended up paying like $40 for that.
Yeah, it was $80, 40% off. Yeah, I'm like, sure, why not? I'll take a punt on it. Yeah. So at some point we will play this as well.
Absolutely, we love our war games.
Yes, and
I
doesn't
bought,
like the bling?
Yeah, I bought, and I don't have them with me. They were not ding and dent.
No,
I got a Battle of Five Armies, War of the Ring, Battle of Five Armies. Very cool game. It was $70, which is way cheaper than we could find it online. We kind of looked.
Yeah.
And then the other game I got was a Euro-style game, Pax Viking. But you're trading, you're fighting, you're moving around the map. It just looks interesting. Yeah. It's one I've always been interested in.
I remember you'd mentioned it before.
Yeah.
And then we kind of saw it and was like, do it.
Well, and it was $60, and I think online everywhere it's like 65 to 70, and then you got to pay your shipping.
Yeah.
So
it was the prices there were unbelievably good.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt.
It's miniature market prices.
My phone's dinging.
That's okay.
I apologize.
But you don't pay the shipping. So, like, if you ever are in St. Louis and you have the opportunity, swing round to the southwest side and go. Well worth it. Very dangerous for your wallet.
We could have spent another hour.
Oh yeah.
I think we had places to go and things to do, but I'm glad we only spent an hour because I think we would have dropped another.
Oh my gosh, yeah,
or $200.
They had all sorts of sets of miniatures for like peanuts. I'm like, yeah. I don't know. It was. I had a really good time doing that, and was very glad that we'd made up for last year for not going.
Well, and it was kind of cool. Also, I won't go into all the details of the story, but we were in there and we were looking on the shelf. And all of a sudden, to our right, a young man, I'm going to call him a young man because he looked like he was 20-something, maybe. but I think I had my shirt on. Did you have your shirt on?
I did. I had it. Yeah.
Maybe you had the shirt on. I didn't have mine. Did we both?
Yeah.
And he was like, "You're Grant and Alexander," and we're like, "Yeah." And so his name was Brian. Yes. Brian Finger was his name. Really nice young man. We talked for about 5 or 10 minutes and had a really cool interaction with him. He said he's watched a lot of our videos and it was just really cool to see him. So
we just mentioned, we were like, oh yeah, we're passing through. He was like, yeah, on the way to Basement Con, right? Yeah. And I'm like,
that was hilarious. Because we tweeted that out.
A little bit terrifying.
Yeah, a little bit terrifying.
But in a really nice way where I'm like, that's really cool.
Yeah, it was very cool.
It's just, I love this hobby because it's actually quite a small hobby in the sense that, like, you know what? Yeah. Gaming in the Midwest, like, people are really friendly and, you know, it's easy to know someone who knows someone at least. Yeah. And I don't know, and everyone's very kind. And it was just cool to meet Brian and meet his significant other and just like say hi and have a nice, cool interaction.
Yeah, it was very cool.
It was very cool.
Yeah, kind of a neat little experience.
So then from there, we went on to our final destination.
But before we talk about that, one of the coolest things we did in our drive over was, and it was kind of weird because I think this is our personality. We critique and we talk and we discuss. And we kind of did a discussion about sci-fi.
Yes.
You know, what is sci-fi? What is good sci-fi? What is the best sci-fi?
What is the sci-fi that we like?
Right. And we went through, it was very cool because we talked about a lot.
Yeah, 4 hours in a car is a long time.
It is.
And we, unironically, spent about 3 of those hours talking about sci-fi films.
At least 3 of those hours. And it's so interesting because I'm a different generation than you. We're about, I mean, what are we, 15 years apart?
Yeah, I'm 32, 33.
Yeah, so 17 years. So the movies I grew up on, you've seen most of them.
Yeah.
But things like Invasion of the Body Snatchers, you haven't seen.
No.
We've seen The Thing, which is epic sci-fi.
Yes. Classic.
You know, Blade Runner and Outlander's another one that I've seen that you hadn't seen with Sean Connery. And there's just so many good ones. And we had such a great discussion about sci-fi. I really enjoyed that, and I wish we had the camera on the dashboard because I think it might have been comedy gold.
Well,
because it was just a good interaction and discussion.
Yeah, so that right for educational purposes, what's your favorite sci-fi film?
Yeah,
put those in the comments.
And it doesn't have to. I mean, we talked about all types of sci-fi, right?
Yes,
science fiction based, and I know that's ridiculous. That's what sci-fi says, but kind of the Star Trek-y style. A little more fanciful, like Star Wars, just some of the really cool exploration movies. I mean, it was 2001: A Space Odyssey. We talked about that for a good 30 minutes. And
that's very different from something like Arrival.
Yep. Which we both love. We love Arrival, both of us.
Good. But that's also different again from Battle Beyond the Stars. Right? Like... Yep. You know, sci-fi reminds me of wargaming in the sense that it's such a varied genre. There's a massive spectrum of everything that you could want in there if you want it.
And I think people I like a certain style. I really enjoy the exploration side of it. But also, I enjoy the starfighter like Battlestar Galactica and you know, those
sometimes
kind of...
you want to turn your brain off and watch the lasers go pew pew. Right. But, you know, I appreciate a good, well-thought-out sci-fi story where there's, you know, there's a good premise and there's something to think about in it.
Yeah.
Which, as a genre, sci-fi typically does. It typically tackles things which are either important or at least noteworthy.
Yeah.
Where some other genres of films just kind of like...
Yeah.
We're just here to like watch people do things.
Well, it was interesting, and we don't need to talk much more about this, but a couple of the movies that I was actually kind of shocked that you hadn't seen. One was Pandorum.
Yeah, not seen that.
Pandorum was from like 5 years ago, 5 or 6 years ago.
I was surprised because I don't know how I've missed that.
It was such an... Do you know what Pandorum is? Does anyone seen Pandorum? Tell Alexander how good it is. It's just so unique.
They're not going to get here and flame you.
Right, they probably will, because they don't like it. I find it fascinating. We talked about Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Yeah,
how that was one of the first sci-fi movies that I think I saw, and I don't know why I saw it. I saw it with my parents, and it's a little bit scary because it's that kind of thing. But you hadn't seen that one. There was a couple others that you hadn't seen, but nothing as egregious as, I mean, Pandorum. I don't know how you miss Pandorum. Anyway, it was a great discussion. Had a great time.
Yes.
You found out I didn't like Next Generation.
Star Trek so which I was very surprised by. But part of that is my age. Yeah. I grew up watching that as it was new on TV.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh yeah, you're 10 years older than me.
I preferred the original and all the original movies. Although I do like Deep Space Nine, we talked
which
about.
Which is excellent.
And I've enjoyed the new Star Trek movies by J.J. Abrams. I really enjoy those. It's probably because I like Chris Pine. Sure. I think he's cool. As well as the guy who plays Bones. What's his name? I'm trying to think of Carl Urban.
Yes.
You know, Éomer, and I don't know.
Dredd.
And Dredd. Yeah, we talked about Dredd a lot. How we both love Dredd. Not so much the Sylvester Stallone Dredd, but the Carl Urban Dredd. But you know what? I'll still watch the Sylvester Stallone one just because it's Dredd. It's kind of interesting.
It's like to me, that's just like future cop movie.
Yeah, it's
rather than a Dredd movie.
Yeah, it's. So anyway, that was an interesting discussion. Now we got to our arrival.
Yes.
And
so that Thursday night is when we played Crown of Roses, which is a game I'd never heard of, didn't know existed.
Yeah.
And we played it 3-player, and it's a 3-player block war game on the Wars of the Roses.
Mm-hmm. And from GMT.
Yeah, and it's from like 2009, which is part of the reason I've never heard of it.
And it's a card-driven block game, so it's not just a block game, but it's card-driven.
Yes. And so, I was like, 19 when that came out?
Sure, yeah.
I was a little bit older than that, but not much more. But, like, that was totally beyond my purview. I hadn't heard of it. It was really interesting to kind of dive into. We have a video kind of talking about our experiences with that coming soon. So watch out for that.
I wish we could have shot it at the location with the board and the components, but you did take a little video of the game a little bit, and we really only played 2 turns for about 3 hours, so it's more of a first impression.
Yes,
right?
But it was interesting, and if that's one where I'm like, would love to kind of dive into that and kind of play the whole thing and see it over the arc of the course of a game.
Yeah.
Which I think would be very interesting.
Rules were kind of not great. Needed to be rewritten, reorganized with some examples of play. Player aids weren't great.
They weren't existent.
But we still were able to play it, enjoyed it, loved the voting mechanic, loved the influence mechanic and getting the titles. Very cool.
It feels like they just try to pack a lot of stuff into it. So it had a lot of different layers.
Felt a little disjointed in some ways, I thought. Because remember, you had to bring all your lords home at the end of the year.
Yes.
And then you literally had to set the game up every round.
Yes.
Which was kind of clunky.
And it's a block war game, and you have maybe like 10
or 12
kind of a thing. So it's not the end of the world, but like it
slows
the pace down of the game. And that was kind of one of the downers of the game. But
I made the comment, it would be nice if maybe you retreated to your ancestral or family areas, because every area has like your symbol.
Yeah.
Anyway, just a thought, but very interesting game. Enjoyed that. That was our first night. The next day, we played Dark Ages.
Yes, we had 7 people.
Yep, which was fantastic.
We played both boards, both Eastern and Western Europe. Mm-hmm. We'd only ever played, I think, a 3-player game on one
2
board.
or 3 times,
So we had Nate had the Kickstarter version with all the neoprene mats, and it was huge, and there was 7 of us playing.
Had a blast.
Building all these armies and castles, and going out and fighting barbarians, and building technologies, and everything that you would expect in a game of, like, Dark Age civ building, basically.
Yep.
That was a blast. I think everyone at the table had a good time with that.
Except the one guy, I think, who lost his first battle against barbarians and was so devastated that it took him like 4 turns to even build an army back up. And I felt bad for him.
Yeah.
I felt bad for him. I was the one rolling the dice for the barbarian, so
you crushed him.
I crushed him, and then I also chose to make him lose his best unit.
Which you were supposed to do.
Which I was supposed to, but it was expensive for him. So, and I ended up winning that game, which was surprising. I tried to cheat and counted 10 victory points that weren't mine because I didn't understand that or had forgotten that.
How many points you ended up with at the end of that game?
122.
It was 122. Okay.
Yeah, and you guys all had like 107, 109.
Yeah, I came second with 109.
Yeah, so very competitive game, very fun. Really enjoyed that game.
Yeah, that was a blast. What do we do after that?
Well,
okay.
Played Cthulhu Wars.
After that, we played a 7-player game of Cthulhu Wars. This is for sale if you want it.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's not my style of game.
It's a very chaotic, fairly trashy dudes on a mat game with a Cthulhu theme on it. The miniatures are very bombastic and huge and cool, but
overly huge.
Very irresponsible. Because you have like 50 guys in one area that covers half the map, and you're like, I swear they're all in this one area. Yeah. But like,
irresponsible. It also is irresponsible ecologically because the amount of petroleum used to make the plastic for those miniatures unnecessarily probably deprived us all of miles of enjoyment of driving.
But yeah, I've played it with like kind of 3 or 4 players, and if I was going to do it again, I would only ever do it.
It was better because I played it also with 4 players, and I enjoyed it way more. Lots of downtime, nowhere to go. It just wasn't for me with 7.
There's too much to account for with everyone's different abilities, so you just kind of move in and like, oh, what happens? I don't know. This, and this, and this. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Like, you can't predict at all what's going to happen, so there's very little strategy to be had.
The other thing that was very interesting, some of the people at the table had played that game dozens of times, right?
Yeah, and good for them.
And they were so familiar with the factions that they were kind of going around doing what they were doing, not really explaining what they were doing, so everybody's sitting there going, what's happening?
Yeah.
Why did you just take my guy off the board? And I thought it would have been nice if we could have explained that a little better so everybody would have understood that.
But when there's so many people around the table,
it's hard to remember.
That makes it very slow as well.
It does. I would agree.
So that was Friday.
So Mike, I'm sorry. It's just not my favorite game. So
so that was Friday. Yep. And then on Saturday, there it is. It's buried. We played a 7-player game of Napoleon's Imperium, of which there is also a full review coming out eventually. This is, once again, I will refer to it as Axis and Allies Napoleonics.
Without the miniature pieces, right? You have counters.
Yeah, it's counters. But it is, you build a bunch of guys, chuck a bunch of dice, move forward and trying to conquer lands. Yeah. But there's all the various different kind of nations or groups of nations divided up. There's 8 total, and you just divvy that up amongst the players, kind of who are there. We played with 7.
It's basically the French Empire and friends, and then it's the British Empire and friends, which included Russia and Finland and Prussia and we were, what were we? France and Spain and Austria and the Ottoman Empire.
So, it's a little bit anachronistic in that none of the alliances change over the course of the Napoleonic Wars.
Which was kind of funny.
So you're just kind of like, that's why I talk about Axis now, is where you're like, we're fighting in the Napoleonic era.
Yeah, right.
It's really all it is.
Yeah.
But it was very fun, very enjoyable.
I really thought it was a good interactive game. And everybody was engaged for most of the day. I mean, we started like at 9 a.m. and didn't finish it until like 5.
Yeah, this isn't some deeply accurate historical simulation at all in any way, frankly. But if you just so you got to set your expectations of what it is, right?
Yeah.
Bunch of dudes chuck a bunch of dice. Someone's going to be dead. Yep. And then that space is mine. I get the economic resources for it. Your turn.
and the game's it's not simplistic, but it's fairly simple. Terrain doesn't matter. Movement is just, move a couple units here and there. Some units have different movement rates. And every unit hits on a certain value, and you just roll a bunch of die.
And it's printed on the counter.
Yep. And it's a 10-sider, which we always love games that use 10-siders.
And chucking 10-siders feels good. And then you chuck 10 more.
It also has some cards that are absolutely crushingly mean, and you only draw them when you lose a battle.
Yes.
You never draw off your deck unless you lose a battle. And I'm going to be honest with you, some of those freaking cards suck.
Yeah, some of it is piling on because you lost.
I just lost my entire army and a 3 economic producing country oh, and now I draw this card and I just lost 3 cavalry units in some other totally unconnected territory. It's like, what?
Or like another of your countries declares independence, so you lose that.
I got kicked out of Bavaria, I think it was, and I'm like, dang it.
So, you know, in your deck of battle cards, there's like 3 good ones.
Yeah.
And then there's like a lot of neutral ones, which are not good usually.
They're
and
also
then there's 3
bad.
really bad ones.
Yeah.
So like, you know, every so often you'd get one and you're like, oh wow, I've got a cool benefit from it.
Sure.
Most of the time it's just like
bad.
a gut punch after you're already on the floor. You're like, make it stop.
And it was interesting because how many games, there's not many games where you can play 7 to 8 players. There's just not many out there.
8-player war games, I don't know if there's...
Yeah.
I couldn't name one.
Right.
I genuinely couldn't name one.
We can name a lot of 5 and 6 player. Here I Stand and Virgin Queen and
War Room.
Axis and Allies as 5 players. But it was cool that there were 8 players. Yeah. And that's the joy of the game. That's why that game is interesting, good, and has a place on our shelves.
Yes.
Because we can play that with a lot of people and generally have a good time.
Yeah, that's a game where you're hanging out with people and incidentally playing a Napoleonics game.
And yelling and trash talking and having a good time.
Yeah,
and a lot of that was going on.
Bad stuff happens and you're like, who cares?
Well, it was kind of funny because I was Austria, right? And Austria and Prussia are set up right against each other. Austria goes 7th. I think in the order, and somebody was playing 2 people, so literally Prussia walked in my front door, kicked my teeth in, took my capital, and I'm like, oh, this is a hell of a start, and kind of the rest of the game,
you'd even had
before I had even done anything. And I remember thinking, well, this is going to be interesting. So I was buying 2 or 3 units and just kind of maneuvering and building up, and ultimately, in the end, we ended up winning as a team, and it was interesting.
But I think that's, you know, as much as that sucked for you, I'm like, okay.
I still had a good time.
You know, I played as the Ottomans. I'm like, I can't just charge to Moscow as much as I want to. I have to save you, because otherwise we're going to lose.
Right.
So it did force us into some teamwork, which I'm like, okay,
it was kind of cool. Yep.
But yeah, that was big game on Friday.
Yep.
And then Saturday. That was
Saturday.
And then Saturday night, we played
Conquest of the Empire, which is the old Hasbro Game Master series.
Yes.
But this was a highly modified and updated somewhat version.
Yeah, like totally house ruled.
Yeah.
That Mike put together, and he runs it at conventions.
And actually it was pretty cool. The base game that I played when I was a kid, pretty basic. Kind of was broken. The first guy that got 6 catapults you couldn't lose. So I like that was changed. I also like that he added kind of a Senate manipulation mechanic.
I like that. I always like that.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
And some of the event cards were fun. The original game didn't have event cards. Overall, it was a fun game. We had a good time.
And it had the hidden written order system.
Yes, which was very fun.
And he's a huge fan of that.
Yes.
And I do enjoy that style where it's like, this guy in this army moved from here to here, this one here to here.
Yeah.
And you put a priority on the orders that you do. And so then he goes around and reads them out. And so if orders become impossible or illegal, you then can't execute those.
Yep. Or sometimes I did an order that I didn't really want to do because my neighbor would move and I'd be like, oh crap, now I have to move in there and decide, do we fight each other?
And you're like, I swear we don't want to fight.
Yeah, but then
and then they're like, yes, we do.
I'm going to fight you. So it was very cool, very fun. It really came down to you and me. You were Egypt. You kind of controlled the southern med, and I was kind of the northern, and I controlled over to Palestine, and we were kind of wiping everybody out, and it was fun.
It was, I think everyone was in it, apart from...
well, the one guy
apart from Mesopotamia.
Yeah, I kind of wiped him off the face of the earth.
Because
he was still there because we ended up quitting.
Yeah.
But he was done for. And it wasn't his fault. I developed the right people. I had some extra abilities, and I went hard. And I lied to him. I'm going to be honest.
But that's what that game's about.
I told him, you can go ahead and build up on that south side. I'm not going to touch you. And the first thing I did was take Galatia. And then I moved into the next place. And before you knew it, I'm on his doorstep. So... But that's what it is, right?
Yes.
It's a game. I'm not a liar in real life, but in that game I was. So then we were done. We went home. We drove home on Sunday, had a great time, and frankly look forward to doing it again next spring in 2023.
So that was kind of basic. That was the end of the month. the beginning of the month, we'd kind of eked out a couple other war games.
Yep.
So we played Assault Red Horizon 41 at the beginning of the month.
Fantastic.
This is a tactical game from Assault Games, brand new out of Germany. People are asking, where can you get it? On the Assault Games website.
Right. I'm not really sure.
I don't know where else you can get it.
Yeah.
I hope at some point they do find distribution hubs throughout the rest of the world, because the game is very good for a tactical system.
Well, it's a scenario-based tactical game, but there's also a campaign mode, which you can build people up, and very interesting. This game was on both of our top 10 lists that we just shot. It was that good.
Well, it hits a sweet spot with tactical games where it's crunchy enough, but not nearly as crunchy as some of the games out there.
Yeah.
And that's a huge credit to the design, frankly.
Yeah. Well, and I said this in our review and our top 10 video. It just feels mature for a first-time designer and a first-time publisher. Very well done. I enjoyed it greatly.
The review for that is scheduled for April 9th. Okay. So that will come out
next week.
Another game we played at the beginning of the month was Caesar.
Seize Rome in 20 minutes.
From PSC Games.
And it really plays in 20 minutes.
Yeah, this is kind of the sequel to Blitzkrieg. And before you ask, no, they are basically completely different games.
I mean, they use some of the same mechanics, but in a totally different way.
Yeah, the same parts is you draw some things from a bag and put them hidden behind your screen.
And little pieces have different abilities. This is more area control. The other one was area control, but it was a track.
Yeah, it's that one's moving lots of tracks to move other tracks to get points. This is very much influencing areas and the geography and the location of those, and the adjacency stuff is much more important. And then you get benefits from those, which allow you to springboard and do more things. Very cool.
This reminded us of the game from Osprey, Agamemnon.
Yeah.
Similar, but different. So if you've played Agamemnon from Osprey, you'll kind of understand how
the way
this one
that
is.
you have to view the game from a geometric standpoint. It gave me some of those similar vibes.
Yeah, I really like this. It was absolutely fun.
Yeah, very, very fun.
Plays very fast.
Very good game.
Very simple rules, very clear.
And I think the last one that we played in March was Fire in the Sky.
Yep.
We played this once, and again, there's a kind of an initial impressions video of this coming up soon.
Yeah, we did not play a full campaign. We played it trying to understand it, and frankly, it was very good.
Yes.
Strategically, I had no idea what the frick I was doing as the was I US? I was a US.
Yes.
I had no freaking idea what I was trying. No, I was Japanese. Sorry. No idea what I was doing, but it was cool. Lots of economic focus. Lots of understanding about how shipping is affected by submarines, and just, I thought, very well done, frankly.
Yeah, this is the rules for this were quite different from a lot of other kind of Pacific War games.
I would agree.
And not in like a weird way. It was just thought about and ruled differently. And
well, it's a Japanese designer, right? Tetsuya Nakamura. So they think a little differently there, right? We just have differences, and I think you can feel that differences in the way the game works. And frankly, it's very unique.
Yeah.
Very interesting. If you can play this one a couple of times to get the strategy down, I think this is going to be a barn burner.
Well,
frankly,
it's been around for a number of years.
It has,
right?
Yep.
MMP did that first edition in English.
Yep.
And this is just
upgraded second edition.
They gave it a facelift, but it's the same game.
Yep.
And I'm like, there's a reason it got its second edition. There's a reason it's been around for a long
very
time.
good.
And it was people were looking for it.
Yep.
It was $100+ on the secondhand market.
This is also a 2022 game, so it wasn't included in our 2021. It literally we got it a couple months early. But glad we played it, and I really enjoyed it, and look forward to potentially playing it again. A good Pacific Theater World War II game is never a bad thing.
Yes,
I don't think.
So I think that's all. Is that all the games that we played in March?
Yeah, I thought we played a lot though.
We played some.
We were busy.
I think.
Yeah, we played Pathfinder. We played some online digital Gloomhaven on Steam with our father-in-law and you and me. Yeah, but that was it. Pretty good gaming month, really.
Yes. And so, looking forward to April, I think will also be a good gaming month.
Oh, it'd be very good gaming month.
A big part of that is because we are going to Buckeye Game Fest.
Yep, next week.
So April 7th through 10th, we're going to be there.
Yep.
They have a war room.
Yep.
Where we're teaching some coin games.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be playing some other games. We're taking some big games, so we'll talk about those here in just a second. But if you're interested, we will be there.
Yep.
There's going to be a bunch of other people.
Well, Ardwolf Wolf will be there. Gary, David Thompson will be there. Russ Wetley will be there from Cardboard Conflicts. Isn't that what
I think so, yes.
Okay. So looking forward to that, as well as some of the other, there's a board game side. So Man versus Meeple, which is kind of a big
they do
review.
a lot of board games.
I know one of those guys, Jeremy, drawing a blank on his last name, but we actually went to high school together.
Jeremy Meeple.
No, it's not Meeple. Anyway, really looking forward to it. We went a couple of years ago and had a blast.
It was so good.
We played some big war, Churchill, TI4, Rising Sun. We played a big 6-player game of Root. We played A Distant Plane. Really had a good time. Big games with a lot of people. So I'm looking forward to that again.
And it's, I think they had like a few hundred people there last time we went.
Yeah,
and
I'd say 300.
It's a small con compared to some of the other big ones that we've gone to in the past. But I really like their feel.
Yeah,
It's a bit more laid back. There's a bit more space to just kind of play. It's not quite as hectic as some of the other things that we go to.
Yeah.
And so I could not be looking forward to that more.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I'm very excited. It's in Columbus, Ohio.
Yep.
There's a bunch of nice food locally as
So
well.
what I would say is one of the things I'm looking forward to the most is that frickin' Mongolian barbecue. That place is awesome. So anyway, really looking forward to it. We have a room there. We're going to be there for 3 full days and hope to play. I hope we get 6 or 7 games in,
yes.
frankly.
So let's talk about some of the games. So the events that we're running 2 sessions of kind of a coin style teach and play. So we're going to set up a couple different coin games. We're definitely taking these 2.
And I might take Liberty or Death.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorites. So
or
Gandhi, either one.
Yeah. It's one of those things.
Yeah.
I could take all 10.
Yep. But I can't lug all 10 around.
No. So I'm like, I'm definitely going to bring these 2, though. Because if people are new to coin and want to learn, these are good entry points.
I think both these are excellent entry points. Obviously, the first and second game in the series. So
yeah, they just, you don't have a lot of the extra chromey rules on either of them. Cuba Libre is small, so your decision space is a little bit more limited, so you're not, like Fire in the Lake is like,
the map's huge.
Where do I do it all?
Well, I would love to play Fire in the Lake and teach it.
Oh my gosh.
It's a lot more complex.
I could play that game 5 times the whole weekend.
Oh, yeah.
I love it. But the size of the map can be overwhelming to new players. Indian Abyss is a little bit bigger than Cuba Libre, but it's the original. Very, very good. These are both very good, so I'm kind of saying we're probably going to play both of these at some point. Which is exciting. I'm also taking PAX Premier 2nd Edition, which is a war game, isn't a war game.
I don't care if it's a war game or not, it's a great game.
But yeah, I love it.
It's awesome.
I've been chatting with David Thompson. He was like, he's trying to learn it. I'm like, I'm just going to bring it.
Yeah, it's a fantastic game. Yeah.
We played it. I think we played it for the first time at Buckeye Game Fest.
We played it actually 2 or 3 times while we were there, and then you and I came back and played against the bot once or twice, and it's a great game.
Because I bought it and it got delivered very soon before that, and then we took it there and played it there for the first time.
Oh yeah, that was great.
And that was our first PAX experience as well, and so a very steep learning curve that first game, and then we played it. But I'm sure love that game.
Oh yeah.
What else? Oh, and I think this one right here.
Yeah, Successors
from Phalanx. Big 5-player game. I'm pretty sure that's enough on the books as I'm willing to kind of guarantee.
Sure.
So I'm really hoping that we can get this one played as well.
Yeah.
This is also a 2022 release, I believe.
Yep. We got it a little bit early, but I think it's just being fulfilled recently.
Purely from a shipping standpoint.
Yeah.
But this is, successors to Alexander the Great.
Yep.
The Macedonian Empire is kind of fracturing, and you're vying between these 5 factions to fight and become the next kind of leader of Macedonia.
Who are we playing this with? I know we talked about
you, me,
David,
Russ, Gary, and
Russ. Okay, that'll be fantastic.
I believe that this is kind of on the docket.
Yeah.
Now,
We also talked about Angola.
So we'll probably take that.
But we'll probably take that as well. So we'll see. We'll see. There's only 3 days, so it's not like we can play everything. But
no, but yeah,
we'll try.
I'm hoping,
the
coin games, we're doing the events.
Yep,
that's going to happen.
I would really love to play this one, and I'd love to shoot a first introductory video to it as well.
Because again, this is kind of like Fire in the Sky. Success has been around the block for a while.
Yep.
It's gone through a number of editions.
Yep.
And Phalanx gave it a facelift, and it looks incredible.
Yep.
And people love this game.
We want to try
and so
it. So
I desperately want it to be as good as I hope that it is as well.
Absolutely.
Okay.
We've got a lot of games on the on the table here.
Outside of Buckeye Game Fest,
the rest of the month.
Yeah, the rest of the month. I think we're going to try and be realistic here.
Salerno 43 that I'd like to play a couple of times this month. Mark Simonich just looks awesome.
Yeah, and
just looks awesome.
One map, one counter sheet.
Yeah, it's
not massively long.
It's not huge,
which is like
that's why it's in a 1-inch box, right?
Yeah, I have a lot of hope for this as being a really good, not introductory war game, but like this could be someone's first war game.
Definitely.
Where you're like, it is meaty, it is interesting, and it is extremely like the rules are extremely well established and good and functional.
Yeah,
but it's not take 2 weeks to play, and so that's a really good way to ease someone into wargaming.
Yeah,
like I got high expectations for this, which is,
and we literally just got this one. I mean, this came
yesterday,
2 days ago. So yeah, yesterday. It was yesterday.
Like I'm
very excited about that.
I think we can definitely play that.
Yep.
And then the other one is,
we are going to give it a try this month. I'm not sure we're going to get to it because there's a lot of counters that need to be clipped.
Well,
rules that need to be read.
So, we talked about this last month.
We're not playing the campaign.
This is like a meme joke game.
Yeah.
Right? But what I mean by that is no one's playing the whole campaign.
I wouldn't say no one, but most people are not.
I would say
and we're one of the no ones.
And the people that are lying about it.
Yeah, they're yeah.
So,
or they're delusional. Either one.
Yes. Like,
but there's scenarios.
The whole campaign is just insanely long. It's so big. But play some scenarios. Play some of the small introductory ones.
3 to 100 hours. 100 hours is the campaign.
That's a lot. What a hilariously vague amount of time.
Yeah.
Like, okay. So, I'm very interested to play this. Because I've heard that, like, at an operational level, it is extremely good.
Yep.
It's just the campaign is like unplayably long and silly. 100 hours. So I do actually have some very high expectations for it. I do think too. It's supposedly at that smaller kind of level and scale, it is very good. So I think this will be one of those games that we'll kind of do a learning session of it, and then the week after that we'll kind of play a bigger scenario, and then maybe a little bit more of it the week after that. So we're going to spend some time with this.
Well, they have they have like Pearl Harbor scenarios, so you've got like 25 counters on the board. They've got, I think, a Savo Island scenario. There's a ton of those. So there's scenarios that are kind of based on an air-naval fight and a naval battle and a land battle and an amphibious landing. There's scenarios for all of it. So we're going to play 3 or 4 of those, shoot video impressions about those, and then talk about our impressions of the system. That's what we're going to try to do.
Yeah.
It may take us a good month or 6 weeks, but that's okay. But we're going to do it.
I'm hoping that we can, start doing this probably towards the latter half of April. At least get it in. I think
between that and Salerno, we're going to be busy.
We've got a convention, which we've got a bunch of games. That's this coming weekend.
Yeah.
And then we've got 2 or 3 weeks left in April to play 2 games.
We can easily at least do something. It is realistic.
We sometimes make very unrealistic goals for ourselves.
Not sometimes, most of the time.
Well, that's also true. And then at some point in between all of that, I might set this up, Hill of Doves, on my table and just kind of play this on my own. This is a solitaire-only game about the First World War.
Yeah.
I've talked to some people who are playing it and really enjoy it.
Looks really good.
So, this is kind of like my solitaire goal. Hopefully I'll kind of play this month.
And my solitaire goal for this month is I have a pre-production copy of Resist, which deals with the the resistance to the Franco regime in, Spain, 38, 39.
Yeah, it's post-Civil War, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Just before the ramp up to World War II. And looks really interesting. It's a card game.
A beautiful looking game.
Yeah, great art. Designed by David Thompson as well as Trevor Benjamin and one other gentleman I can't remember. But it looks pretty simple. I set it up. I read through the rules. I'm going to try to play that this month. And I'm trying to shoot a video kind of preview for I think it's on GameFound starting in May. So I'm looking forward to that. But so we're going to have a busy April.
A busy April, but I do feel like...
It's possible.
A realistic April.
Well, and we're also... I forgot this.
Oh, no.
Tomorrow night, we're going to play Journeys in Middle-earth, Spreading War with me, you, and our father-in-law.
Yes.
We're going to have a boys' night. We're going to order pizza, come over, and play 2 or 3 scenarios of that.
Yeah, that's going to be
So looking forward to that. That's a brand new 2022 game. We love Journeys in Middle-earth. We've played... hundreds of hours, not hundreds, but played dozens of hours, all of it. So we're going to play through that. So, yeah, we're going to be busy. We're going to be busy.
Yes.
Our wives may end up leaving us, but I don't know where they're going to go.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's terrible. I should never say something like that. I love my wife dearly.
So I think that's all the games that we have played.
Yep.
And that we will play.
So that was a big part of this debrief. I think we talked about that for like an hour now.
Oh,
sorry.
Okay. So, real quick.
What's on Kickstarter?
What is on Kickstarter?
All right, so the 2 that I know of, the African Campaign, Designer Signature Edition from Compass Games, designed by John Edwards. That just came on Kickstarter like, I want to say 2 days ago. The other one is finishing up. It's Onus Trajanus from Draco Ideas, which is a miniature-style skirmish game without the miniatures. They use cardboard formation counters. Looks very interesting.
Yes.
But that one's finishing up. Those are the 2 that I'm aware of. I'm sure there's some others coming up, but I feel like I'm a little out of touch with Kickstarter right now. So
especially March, wrong month, was quite busy for us as well.
Yeah.
So trying to keep on top of things that I'm not involved in is also quite difficult too. But yeah, there's always something. Is Downfall of Empire still going on, or did that just finish?
I think that just finished up. It was successful, so good for them.
That's exciting.
Yeah,
I think those
and War for America was one that Compass put out, although they had already done pre-orders. We ended up buying it. I got my copy of it a couple of days ago.
Which is nice.
It's a big, beautiful game. 2-mapper.
Lovely looking game.
We're definitely American Revolutionary War. We're gonna get into that. You also just pre-ordered Storm Over Jerusalem.
Yes, I pre-ordered Storm Over Jerusalem from MMP, and then I just got a notification that BCS Aracourt charged and shipped.
Okay.
So by the time you're watching this, that is probably already here, or it is arriving today.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's like, we're recording this a week ago.
Yeah.
So
I'm excited about those because we always try to make sure we have games from the big publishers, and I felt like in 2021 we missed the boat on MMP. In 2020, we played a couple.
But they also, some of their big releases were like massive, like they did the Banzai ASL, where you're like, I don't.
Yeah. But anyway, I'm excited about Aracourt. Brand new, beautiful looking game. Hex Encounter.
Never played BCS.
So
system. That'll be new for us.
And then the other one we're going to get is Storm Over Jerusalem, and really excited about that'll be late in the year.
Hopefully that comes later.
But
it should do.
I'm excited about that because once again, I do want to cover a lot of different publishers. I don't want to just
and those
be
are
stuck on 2 or 3.
Frankly, both of those. I've never played a Storm Over game.
Yep. There's a couple of them. Storm Over DM Bien Phu.
Yeah, Storm Over Arnhem.
Couple.
Storm Over Casino, I think.
Okay.
Never played one of those. And never played BCS.
Yep.
So
looking forward to it.
2 new systems that hopefully we will get to this year, and that will be great.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
So I think that's probably not everything on Kickstarter, but that's a number of things that are there.
Sorry, my neck hurts.
That's okay. So now I would like to take a moment to thank our sponsor, Noble Knight Games. You can go on to Noble Knight Games. I know you already go on there. I don't know. They do buy and sell war games, buy and sell board games, buy and sell miniatures. They
have new stuff, old stuff, refurbished stuff.
Yes.
A little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything. Half of you already go there anyway. But you can go onto there any order that you place with them, you can use the code PLAYAID, PLAYAID, and you get 5% off your order, any size of your order.
Your entire order.
On top of anything. So you save yourself some money there, and then we get a kickback from that.
Yep.
And we're very much appreciative to Noble Knight Games for not only, first off, providing a good service.
Yeah.
I've bought a number of things from them over the
I
years.
bought several as well.
But also for reaching out and, partnering with us to help support wargame content creators. I think that shows some goodwill from other members of the industry, and it, helps us out, which is nice.
Yep.
But it also, helps to strengthen the wargaming community in general.
Yeah.
So if you're on Noble Knight, or if you plan to use them, use the code PLAYAID, save yourself 5% off. Doesn't cost you anything.
Yeah.
And it helps to support us as well. So we're very grateful for them.
Well, and while we're talking about those kind of plug things, I mean, you'll notice our shirts, right? You don't have a shirt on this evening.
Not today.
But Teespring, you can actually, underneath the video,
just down here.
You can look at what we've got. I think for $20 or $21, you get one of these t-shirts. They're very nice, thick t-shirts. We've noticed sometimes the logo has some issues occasionally after you
on the hoodie when you wash it
inside
out.
That'll help.
I didn't do that, and after a couple of times the logo started to deteriorate. But if you turn them inside out to wash them, specifically the hoodie, my t-shirt's totally fine.
Yep.
The hoodie, turn it inside out.
But anyway, I think these are nice shirts. I think they look good. We'd love to see these out and about, and we've seen quite a few.
Wear them to cons and say hi to us, and we'll take pictures.
And we also have, fleece blankets. We have face masks. There's coffee mugs. There's die-cut stickers.
There's long-sleeve t-shirts.
Yep,
People ask me all the time,
if
only you had long-sleeve t-shirts.
Yep.
There's 2 different styles on there, a number of different colors.
So buy them.
Click on the link in the description of the video.
Yep.
And you go to the store, and they're kind of at the bottom of the store, but they are on there.
All of that helps. We bought a new camera this year. We bought a new computer, a new microphone. Those are things. We also buy some games from time to time because we can't get review copies.
Yep.
So it helps us do all of that, and it's how this is not our full-time job. Sometimes I feel like it. It never feels like a job, but I feel like we put a lot of time.
We spend a lot of time on it.
So anyway, support us however you can. We would appreciate it. So thank you.
Very grateful for all of that.
And if you just watch our videos, that's okay too.
Oh, yeah.
We're good with that. So
let's move on to the main topic
of the month
of today's monthly debrief. And we've already been going for close to an hour. So
holy mackerel.
So kind of first off.
Yeah.
This topic was suggested by JT. He's one of our patrons. Every month I put out a post on our Patreon account, and people can submit topics, and we choose from those. So if you would like to submit a topic in the future, some people try to email me or suggest them in the YouTube comments.
Yeah.
Sign up to our Patreon and comment on those posts. That's where I take those from. If we haven't kind of thought of a different one. But most of the time I'm taking them from those. That's a way that you can suggest. It also helps us out as well, which we again want to appreciate. Yeah. So today's topic was he talked about games under 2 hours. What kind of shorter war games that are still, meat on the bones and something worth kind of playing.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of kind of light fare war games or games that are masquerading as war games, which are like maybe aren't as satisfying as playing something like a Holland 44, where you're going to spend 8 or 9 hours and it was really good, right? They're games that we have that are condensed down in a shorter period of time that still offer you something.
Yeah, there's plenty of those kind of games out there.
And we'd kind of joked that this episode is kind of a counterpoint to last month's episode, where we talked about
too big to play,
the extremely long games, the 100-hour Pacific Wars of the world, where you're like, it's unrealistic to play the whole thing, for us at least. And so,
it's not unrealistic for everybody, but for us it is. We don't have 3 tables.
Yes,
we don't have a huge space
all the time.
You work down here. We also play down here. We can't do it.
So we wanted to take some time to talk about some of the kind of shorter, more reasonably length games. I think okay, cool. So
we've got some in. I've got 4 or 5 here. You've got 4 or 5
let's start
there.
with this top one.
Sure. Yeah. Go ahead.
So this box is Undaunted Reinforcements.
Yep.
We're talking about Undaunted Normandy, Undaunted North Africa, those games. Designed by David Thompson and Trevor Benjamin.
And this is the newest edition, and I've now put everything in here.
Is it already in there?
It all fits in here. Yep. And we have not played this yet, and I feel bad. No. But I feel bad to David that we didn't play this one.
We just got it.
We just got it.
I don't feel bad.
But yeah, it all fits in here.
There's space for everything to put it all in. This is the Undaunted Big Box. But just generally speaking, as a game, as a system, Undaunted is both a nice introductory war game because it is a deck building game, and then you're like doing this very light tactical game out front. But it is very much basically an hour.
It's scenario based, so each of the scenario, 40 minutes to 60 minutes. That's kind of. There might be one or two scenarios that go into an hour, hour 15.
Yeah, because there are a couple big ones,
but overall, the game is, I think, very approachable.
Yes.
I think it's actually very satisfying. We have played this multiple times, and it has meat on the bones, and it's also unique to each of the expansions. The Normandy one is very different than the North African one. Feels different. The scale's a little bit different. We have not played Reinforcements yet, but really it's just more of the first two.
Yeah, you get
a solo.
A bunch of different types of stuff and the solo stuff, which I'm very interested to see what that's like.
Yeah.
Because the solo stuff is a pretty big chunk of what's in
it. It is, yeah.
It's not insignificant. And so I think that'll be interesting to kind of play around with. But this is, it's more on the kind of introductory, lighter scale of things, but there's still meat to it.
Well, and frankly, it's fun.
Yes.
It's an interesting game. I like the deck building concept. It doesn't always belong in war games, but I think it works well for here because you kind of mix in certain elements like Fog of War. When you get those into your deck, because whatever happened, your deck starts getting sucky. Your command starts breaking down, and it models that.
It makes sense.
Yeah,
it has a purpose for being in there.
Yeah. When you get those out by using some of your scouts, your deck starts getting leaner, and it's more effective. And you're able to pull more guys, and it just works really well.
Or those are your wounds. As guys die, your deck gets smaller, and you're like, closer to losing. Very, very cool game.
Yeah.
And, time-wise is a really nice place. You can squeeze this into any gaming session that you want to.
And I would consider this one of those bridging type games.
Yeah, sure.
Hybrid, it's connecting wargamers with other traditional gamers. And frankly, we talk about this a lot. We need more wargamers.
Yeah.
And the only way you're going to bring those in is get them addicted to these kind of cool games, then jump them into the big games. Now, some people will say, you can start with the big games. I totally agree with that. Not everybody wants to start with that.
Yeah. Some people find that
off-putting.
They find it daunting.
Yes.
And this is
undaunted. Yes, exactly. That's a good one.
This is a way to...
I'm going to give you... That is the quip of the year. You just had the quip of the year. You need to have like a little banner up here.
What are we going to do for the next 8 months? All the quips will be compared to that.
That was just so fantastic. I don't think it could be topped.
But it's like, you could jump people into fire in the sky. Great. But like,
yeah, you can.
But like people are like,
yeah,
that it's easy to poo-poo that. Much harder to poo-poo a deck builder.
And a deck builder that's put together really well with cool-looking components and great-looking art.
That takes 40 minutes.
It's just fantastic. Yeah. I've enjoyed every time we've played that game.
So this is a good
absolutely
short war game.
No doubt. I will put this down here.
Another excellent short war game. Wild Blue Yonder.
Awesome.
First off, incredible artwork.
Yep.
But the game itself is the Down in Flames is what the series in the system is called. Mm-hmm. And so in this you have a plane and a wingman.
Yep.
And your wingman's kind of just like follows you around basically. And this is a card game. So I have a hand of cards, and those are your maneuvers.
Yep.
You're flying. I'm going to do a scissors maneuver. I'm going to do a big loop maneuver. Yep. I'm going to do...
In my sights,
full throttle. Go full throttle.
Yep.
And I'm playing those, and you're countering those, because each of your maneuvers has a counter to it. Mm-hmm. And so it's kind of a version of Trumps in a way.
Yeah.
But
boiled down at its most basic level, that's what it is.
Like, I play a card,
but it really works.
You trump my card. Now I have to trump that with a different card, or the same one, and so you're trying to weed out certain cards from your opponent's hand to get that kind of killing blow in it. Yeah. But you can't use all your cards, because then when they attack you back, you've got nothing to defend with.
Right.
So there's some management and risk that you got to take. Very fast playing game.
20 minutes. 15 to 20 minutes, you're going to fight a scenario, and then you can just, redraw, reshuffle, and play again.
Play again. And there is whole bunch of, there's like a campaign, I believe, in this.
Yeah.
That you can kind of play some sequential missions in it.
Sure.
But this box, if you're interested in this, this box, Wild Blue Yonder, is like, this is, buy this.
Yeah.
Because this is an amalgamation of a lot of the old stuff.
It is.
But they've redone the artwork, and it's just incredible.
Beautiful. And this is a game a lot of times is played at conventions.
Yes.
People will bring a couple of these boxes and have like 8 or 10 player games.
Yeah, or I think there's they do a tournament of this as well.
Absolutely.
And it's very easy to do that.
Yep.
It's quick. You do best 2 out of 3, next person moves.
But it's meaty, it's got some cool artwork, it really feels thematic, and is very, very enjoyable. So I love the heck out of this game. Maybe we should take that to Buckeye Game Fest.
Well, now that we've talked about it, I probably will.
That would be fun to play with David and Russ and Gary and just have a good time with it.
Really cool game.
Yeah, absolutely.
They just knocked it out of the park with this.
And the Down in Flames series, I mean, DVG has a couple of them. GMT has a couple of them. We played the Jets one. What was that one called?
It's called Down in Flames Locked On.
Yeah, that one was awesome. I mean, one shot, one kill, basically.
Feels very different.
It does. This is more. You can take a couple hits because it's just machine gun fire.
I think there's World War I versions of it. There's a bunch of stuff out there, but this is there's so much in this box. That this is a great value if you want to jump into this game.
And I think it's a good, solid game that has some replayability.
Yeah, that doesn't take forever to play.
So the next two we're going to talk about here, you want to hold with or on it. These are of the same series. These are both from Hollandspiel, designed by Amabel Holland. This is the Shields and Swords Ancient series. With it or on it deals with Spartans and...
This is Greco-Persian
and Peloponnesian Wars. The Grass Crown is kind of the second volume, and it deals with the Roman Empire and Roman Civil Wars, etc. These are a tactical style game, which is focused on formation and the integrity of your battle lines. Uses some very cool chits that... You can't move and attack because that command is on the back and front of the same chit.
Yeah.
So you can move, but next time you're going to have to attack. So you're going to kind of move up and get maybe attacked, but then you got to attack back. So it's a very interesting game, very, very cool. Rules light, I would say, and really, really enjoyable. We played this. We didn't necessarily want to at first, not for any other reason than we just had other games that we wanted to play. I'm glad we played it because it got us addicted, and now the Grass Crown was a follow-up.
Yeah.
More polished, a little more cool tactics. Same style and same basic game. Both of these are just excellent, and I think new players and seasoned players can enjoy these games.
And no hidden information in this, so you can solo.
You can do a solo
deal if you wanted to.
Yeah.
But these are great. Plays in under 60 minutes for a scenario. I think this one has 6 scenarios in it.
And this one has 12 or more.
Yeah, or it might have 8. But this is a great Ancients introductory system as well.
Agreed.
And it offers you something that's a little bit different from some of the other games that we're going to talk about here in just a little second. Mm-hmm. But this is, you also get to support an independent company.
Hollandspiel makes fantastic games, very eclectic games, but they're always unique, interesting, and I've never played one of their games that I didn't enjoy.
Yeah, there's
a couple of them I haven't enjoyed as much as some of the other ones.
But there's always something interesting, some nugget in those.
Something very unique about them. So
that's
check those out.
Shields and Swords Ancients. Mm-hmm. Now, what I'm talking about is Commands and Colors. So there's Commands and Colors Ancients, which I don't have here, which you've got.
I have, yeah.
Which, and this is Commands and Colors Napoleonics, one of my favorites. Mm-hmm. So I think Napoleonics games run a little bit longer. These are closer to the kind of
2 hour,
1.5, 2 hour mark. Whereas I think some of the other titles in this series, it's more of the 1.5 hours.
Yeah.
Just a little bit shorter, but Commands and Colors, whichever one you want, they're all you're all very good, basically, and offer you something that pick a topic that you find interesting. Love Napoleon. This system is easy to learn and quick to kind of dive into. If you've never played Commands and Colors, basically the board is divided into 3 areas. You have a hand of cards.
A center, a left, and a right.
It'll activate. Your card will activate 1 unit in each area, or 3 units in 1 area, or some other combination of that, basically.
Yeah.
And so then you are just moving a block of guys, a couple of hexes, and shooting, or a couple of guys
and
with
engaging
horses
in melee,
and charging in melee.
Yeah.
And then you roll some dice, you roll some symbols, and remove some guys.
Yep.
And you do that back and forth, trying to get victory points by eliminating units or capturing victory point hexes.
Yep.
Not a particularly complicated system. Napoleonics is the most complicated out of them all, I think.
And it's complex because there's so many different unit types that all have different abilities.
I have a whole shelf of all the expansions, and every army's got its...
Do we have every expansion now?
There's... So...
1 or 2 that we don't have? I think we played the Spanish and the Russian. I think those are the only 2 that we really have played in depth.
I don't have the Epic expansion.
Okay.
But...
We need to get back to playing some of those. They're always good.
But this is the most complicated because there's the most amount of factions and, as such, the most amount of units, and kind of every unit hits each other differently. There's a big matrix of all that stuff. Some of the other titles in the series are a little bit simpler, but basically it's the most complicated one. The games still only take, hour and a half, 2 hours.
And it's not really necessarily complex. It's complex
that's
in
relative,
the strategy. I think... Some of the Ancients, I think, is very simple and straightforward. Units are pretty clear what they are, and you only have maybe 6 or 8 different types.
Yeah.
Another one that we played that I thought was a little more on the complex side was the Jacobite Rebellion and the Tricorn. Those had some different elements.
And it's not like, this is complex.
No.
It's remembering that the Highlanders have this special rule, and... These irregulars suck.
Or that a leader does this in this situation.
Yeah.
We played Samurai Battles a couple of weeks ago. It was just fantastic.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It was also an incredible value if you get that one too. But any of these Commands and Colors games are a great 2 hour or less war game.
Yeah.
And just pick the one thematically that is the most interesting to you, because that's the one that you'll enjoy the most.
I think this is my favorite one, followed closely by Ancients.
Oh, gosh. I'm thinking this, and then Samurai Battles.
Samurai Battles is pretty dang good.
But I also I like Red Alert, the
Red Alert,
one with the little ships blowing each other up.
It's hard to not like them all, frankly. But yeah, a great system, and it's a system that stood the test of time. Most of I think the first volume, which is Ancients, right? Yeah. It's like in the 7th or 8th printing. That tells you a lot. That tells you almost all you need to know.
Yeah.
It's a good system, solid rules with replayability, and people really enjoy it.
Well, and it's because they're so simple, and it's a little 2-player game, and it doesn't take very long.
Yeah.
Once again, it's a good way to introduce not only someone to wargaming, but someone to a different period in wargaming. Like, the age-old adage is like, if you want to get into Ancients wargaming, you have to buy 2 armies, because ain't no one going to play with you.
Right.
And so to bypass that, you buy Commands and Colors Ancients, then you can harangue someone to sit down, because you don't have to paint all the miniatures, you don't have to have them buy and paint their own miniatures.
You just have to sticker the blocks.
Sticker the blocks. I've got my red blocks, you've got the blue blocks.
Yeah.
And then we go at it for an hour and a half, and it's done with, and they can walk away. If they're interested, you can play again.
Yeah.
But it's not some massive time and money sink to get them into playing Ancients, if you really like that.
Yeah,
those are a very good entryway into those.
Oh, yeah. And I love Commands. It's just fun.
Yes.
It's a little chaotic, and it isn't always about strategy. Yeah. Sometimes the dice are just against you.
Sometimes it's about fun.
Yeah. I love the memes that I've made over the years of, one that I really enjoyed was there's a band running across, like a Napoleonics band, like riding in front of Napoleon. And I put on the quote well, who moved the band from the right to the left? I didn't pull that card. It's just, if you don't get the cards, you can't do what you need to do.
There's an element of chaos in those games, which keeps it light as well.
Yeah, it keeps it light. So another game we talked about and pulled off the shelf is Struggle for Europe, 1939 to 1945 from Worthington Publishing. This is a game that is based on Martin Wallace's, what's that game called? It's American Civil War.
It's called Lincoln.
Lincoln. Based on Lincoln,
Excellent
uses the same mechanics. It's kind of card-driven, where your cards represent your units and different actions, like amphibious landing and movements. And it's an area control game. You're fighting over the control of Western Europe. And it's a very cool, interesting game.
You could get Lincoln if you were more interested in American Civil War. These are both very similar in style. The map on this one's a little bit more drab, which is a shame.
Yeah.
But I think the game in here is a little bit more interesting than the one in Lincoln.
I would agree.
From the map and the spatial standpoint.
Lincoln, you've only got 2 or 3 different ways you can go. This one, you can attack it from several different areas.
Yeah, and I don't know. The story of the movement in the European theater is a little bit more interesting than just I start at north and go south. Right.
But this is a 2-hour game. Very enjoyable. We played it a couple of times several years ago. I
really liked it.
And I really liked it.
And frankly, with Worthington, Worthington is the only company that I trust their times
are
they
pretty
put on the
correct.
map.
Yeah.
I don't know how they do it, but they do a damn fine job. This says victory within 2 hours. Yes.
Yes.
They have 1944 Battle of the Bulge. Victory within 2 hours. That could also fit on this list very easily as well. Almost all of their games, they have their timing down, and I think that's very impressive.
Yeah, it is.
But yeah, so if you find anything else on their website, look at the times and understand that those are accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so it's a very good game.
Really cool game.
I actually I like this better than Lincoln, but I also really like Lincoln. Lincoln has some I
loved Lincoln.
And it's deck destruction. It's not necessarily deck building. You start with a deck. When you use certain units, they never come back. When you use certain events, they get removed. So it's a very interesting
and there's
concept.
Also the early, mid, and late cards as well. As you go through your deck, you then add the next deck.
Well, Germany's deck is better to start. But the Allies quickly, during the second deck period, they start to get better. So you got a certain amount of time to build up and then kind of hold on. It's very interesting. Very well done.
Yeah.
Very unique system.
I do remember when we played Lincoln, when you play as the Confederacy, that last deck you shuffle in is just
garbage.
Cards. It's all crap.
A lot of blanks and a lot of one units. Yeah. So if you've got to that point, you better have taken what you need to win. Because you're not gonna be able to take it. We have one more, but I think the theme with a lot of these games, though, is they have clear rules that are easy to understand, and the systems used to me really simulate what you're trying to do on a very base level.
Yeah, the designs have cut off a lot of kind of the fat. Yeah, and it's very
lean.
To keep it under 2 hours, it's got to be lean.
Yeah,
right? And they've done that. And done it successfully without it being like, oh, it feels like I'm missing something from this. I don't think I would say that about any
all
of
these games I've enjoyed immensely.
And the last one on the list today,
such a great game,
is Richard III from Columbia Games. Some of the other Columbia block games are also fairly short, but this one is like, you can play a scenario in 40 minutes.
Yeah, yeah.
Like some of the, you can take your time, but some of them, because there's 3 scenarios in this, and some of them can be over very quickly if the rolls don't go well. But gosh, it's Wars of the Roses. You have your blocks. It's a beautiful game.
Yep.
To start with, I'm also biased in that regard. Does it? And this is a map that passes the Southampton test.
Okay. Does it have Southampton on it?
It does.
Where is it? Let me see it.
Just north of the Isle of Wight.
Yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Southampton, it's in the south.
There it is right there.
But,
yeah, there it is right there.
Yeah.
It's got the ship on it, too.
Yeah, it's a port.
Yeah.
But the blocks are gorgeous, the stickers are gorgeous, but it doesn't have, like, a trillion, like some of the other block games I've played in my life. And you set it up. This is a card-driven game.
It is, yeah.
A very simple card-driven mechanic.
But it's very
basically
good.
Just numbers. This is how many guys you can move.
Yeah,
right?
I remember when we played this the first time. This was the first block war game I ever played.
Yep, that's true.
And I was a little worried about it because I thought, oh my gosh, what's this going to be like? And the fun of not knowing, first off, not knowing what your enemy unit composition is. Secondly, having just attacked them last round, still not knowing what it is.
I've still forgotten.
Because I forgot, or you moved a couple units in. It's just such a fog of war and tension
and the
filled
cards
experience.
Give you 2 layers of fog of war.
They do.
So not only am I bluffing with the units, I'm bluffing with my cards, because I can't even move those units, which are crap anyway.
Yep.
And I think it's so cool. And it's a really, this is, if you've never played a Columbia game,
this is a good starting.
This could be your first one very easily.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's not massive. The games aren't particularly long.
Right.
And it's a really good way to kind of jump in. It's also Wars of the Roses. There's also some cool tricksy things that you can do. And
interestingly, we just played another War of the Roses game, right? Crown of Roses, and all these symbols were on that map too, so it's historically accurate.
And that game couldn't be more opposed to this.
Right.
That one's very long and very complicated.
Yes, this is simple.
Yes.
Simple, but strategic and deep, and plays in under 2 hours.
Yeah, this one has to be... This one says 1 to 3 hours on the back. And what that means is each scenario is 1 hour long, or you can play all 3 for the campaign, and it takes you 3 hours.
Sorry.
So, just know that.
Yeah.
That's what they mean on the back. 3 hours is you've literally played all 3
all
scenarios.
The
and
the entire game.
Everything in the box. So, you'll do kind of 3 different setups as you play through that. So, just understand that's what it means on the back, and I'm not lying to you.
But I will say this, the block war game model... It's just so interesting.
I love it.
It really is. Isn't one of the things about military maneuvers and combat is you never know what the makeup of your opponent is. You can have some intel.
Yep.
You can look through your binoculars and you can see what's arrayed against you, but you really never know, right?
You can never be 100% sure.
100% sure. You also are not 100% sure that they actually have enough fighting guys in that tank to make it worthwhile.
Yeah, or... is their morale good enough? Are they just going to surrender, or are they going to turn around?
But that's what a block war game does so well. You don't know what the makeup of the units are, so you're going to attack based on previous knowledge that could have changed, and sometimes...
or no knowledge at all.
Or no knowledge at all. And the best thing about those block war games is when the game is finally over, and you start kind of turning the units over, and you're like, you're kidding me. You held that entire place with... 3 blocks that had 1 strength apiece when I thought they had 4.
That could have been 12 strength.
Yeah, and that's what's so great about it. And I'm sometimes with Hex Encounter war games, I can look across the line, I can see exactly what you got.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there and I'm counting, I need 12 more factors to make this a 6-to-1. And those 2 units do it, bam, I've got you. That's not the way war is.
No, and so that's that you get into the kind of like the design discussion of what you sacrifice and what you want
to make
model,
it playable,
right? So a lot of Hex Encounter games either just don't deal with fog of war in that way and maybe try to do something else with it, or you get the games where it's like you can't inspect the stack, but you can see what's on top.
And that serves kind of a similar purpose.
Yes, so
I bring that up because to me the block is a really good way of modeling combat.
It's a very simple way of doing it.
And Columbia does it better than anyone else. They have a ton of these kind of games.
Well, and to that point, you play one and you have a good knowledge of the core movement and combat rules of the rest of them.
Yeah.
They all have their different chromes and different settings and unit compositions, but your knowledge of this game will serve you into a lot of other block games.
Yeah.
Even not Columbia ones. The principles of a game this simple are in things like Triumph and Tragedy.
Yep.
Like, even games that big
use the same system, the same blocks.
Effectively the same kind of thing.
Yep.
So
anyway, this is a really good game.
Yes.
Of all the games we've talked about tonight, this is one that I would want people who aren't necessarily into war games but are trying to get into it to play.
Yeah.
Because I really enjoyed that. I remember the experiences we had when we only had 5 or 6 games.
Yeah.
And we played everything 3 and 4 and 5 times. And just the experiences that I had thinking, what a cool medium. Block Wargames. I didn't even know there was such a thing. And, now we've played dozens of them, and I love them all. So, anyway.
So, yes.
That was probably our longest debrief video, don't you think?
No.
No, okay. It felt like it was long.
Sure. So, if you're still here, good for you. I appreciate it very much. Put in the comments any kind of 2 hours or under
games that you think are great,
that are really good.
Yeah.
That you think that not only us but other people should check out, because that is a section of wargaming that serves everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone wants a short war game that's kind of beefy.
Well, because not everything can be a 12-hour.
No.
Marathon.
Not everyone's got 15 hours.
Yeah.
But everyone has the 2 hours.
Yep.
Or less, right?
Yep.
And so this can go a long way to helping a lot of different people. So let us know what kind of short war games you like, what ones we should check out, or if there's any on the horizons that you're interested in. I'm thinking 1944 D-Day to the Rhine from Worthington. I'm like, that'll...
Yeah, it just came off Kickstarter a couple of months ago.
That
and
kind of
probably
checks that box. I know that's coming. I know that's one that I would be able to recommend to people as well. But there's a ton of stuff out there for these kind of small format games without sacrificing anything.
Yeah, we could have done a video of 100 different games, but we picked out about 6, and I think there's a good cross section there. And don't get me wrong, we still love our Salerno 43s and our Holland 44s and our Napoleon's Imperium. Those games have their place as well. These are just a different set of games that can be played quickly and still get some of the meat.
Yeah.
Of a longer game.
Yeah, and it's you can tag one on the end of a different gaming session.
Yes.
Which is,
which we do a lot of.
And I don't know if anyone else has that. I always feel slightly more accomplished when we do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where I'm like, we'll have played a big game, and then it's, we kind of tag something on to kind of just unwind and relax, and then you're like, well, I played 2 war games today.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's something about
it's like a banner day when you can play 2 in one day.
I go home, I'm like,
feel pretty good about that.
I've played a lot of war games this week.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know. So it's a way to trick my brain into thinking that I've done more. By playing some of these small games, there's so much wealth in that space as well. So
a game that I really want badly from Columbia is their Crusader Rex.
Oh, yes.
It is a game that I know Volko Renke really likes, and others have talked very favorably of. We need to get it. We have so many other games.
I got Hammer of the Scots we haven't even played.
Yeah, we need to play that
That's embarrassing.
One. Yeah.
People love that game.
I know.
That's like a classic.
We're embarrassing.
But I know someone who's playing Julius Caesar right now.
Yeah.
One of those.
That's another one I've heard a lot about, yep.
So there's...
Yeah.
Columbia Block War games are great.
Yeah.
Anyway, so... Thank you very much for sticking with us. Remember, if you're going to Noble Knight Games, use the code PLAYAID, PLAAYD. Is that right?
PLAYAID.
Yes.
PLAYAID.
PLAYAID.
Yes. Not Player's Aid.
No.
PLAYAID.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you'll get 5% off literally any order you place with
them.
And
you can do 10 different games, all with 10 different times you're entering them. You're still going to get that 5%
Yeah,
off.
There's no limit to how many times you can use it.
If you do 10 different games and you get 5% on each one of those, does that add up to more than 5% of the total?
I don't think that's how math works.
Okay, that's not how math works? Okay.
But if you want to try it out and let us know, go for it. So
I'm not stupid.
Thank you very much to them for sponsoring this video.
Absolutely.
And thanks everyone for tuning in and watching. We have a great time making these and playing war games and discussing them with you. If you ever see us at a convention or
say hi.
About, say hi. If you're at Buckeye Game Fest next week or this week, probably.
I think for as crusty and unfriendly and unapproachable as you are,
yes,
I think I'm definitely very soft and people love to talk to me. So don't talk to Alex. Just come up and talk to me.
Yeah.
No, I think we're both nice guys.
You're the famously outgoing, charismatic Midwestern guy.
Bubbly.
And I'm the stuffy, repressed English one who, when you say hi to me...
You're look down at the ground.
Dying inside.
Yeah.
Looking down at the ground, being like...
It's not true.
Do I know these people?
No, it's very... we really, truly enjoy meeting people. I think it's something that we always enjoy.
Meeting
we're just
war gamers who enjoy wargaming.
Who enjoy the same things that we enjoy.
And they almost always, different war games to us, and that's the part that I enjoy.
Yeah.
Because we're like-minded in that we enjoy learning about history and conflict and how that affects everything, but they might have a different focus, or they like a different style of games. And so, come and say hi, tell us what your favorite war games are, and, please do that. That's one of the things I love about doing this.
Yeah.
So, thanks for sticking with us. Appreciate you tuning in. I've been Alexander from theplayersaid.com.
And I'm Grant.